Are we live?
We are live.
We are live. So hello everyone. I am JCM Byrne of Book Burning and author of Blissful Ascending, which I actually have here, which I didn't even do on purpose. But I have all my books, a little pile right here, so I'm very excited. Oh, nice. I'm not used to the camera. There we go. And this is Jordan Buxton, and I'm going to introduce Jordan with a slightly longer thing. First, oh, sweet. We are live. We are like showing on YouTube. This is super exciting.
First time trial.
Yeah, I've never done this before. Anyone watching, if anyone's watching, which I don't think anyone is, that's fine. No, someone is. Oh yeah, Bo, sweetie, that's fantastic.
All right, yeah, you knew Bo would be here.
There we go. Hey, Bo. All right. So I wanted to introduce Jordan because Jordan holds a special place in my heart, right next to Miggins. Because so I released. Hey, Eddie. So I just want to say I released Wistful Ascending in like 2020, and no one noticed, which is fine. Like I'm not complaining. And then somewhere last summer, I entered Spiffbo, and then I was really trying to get someone to read my book. Like anyone, please read my book, which wasn't easy for a variety of reasons. We're not going to talk about this since this isn't about me. But Jordan was the first person to Miggins was the first person to take a book from me. Miggins said, "I'll take it." And it's funny because he actually didn't read it until like 8 months later, which is fine. No anger there. It's just kind of funny. It all started with Miggins, and then when Miggins took the book, Jordan. This is all I think happening through Twitter. I think.
Yep.
And then Jordan was like, "Well, if you're reading it, maybe I could read it too." And I don't really know like why you did. Like I don't know if I would have if I were you, but Jordan read the book and it liked it enough to then, and he had cachet credentials, right? He had juice. So Jordan got other people to read it. Probably most notably Andrew of Andrew's Wizardly Reads, who then did a video on it. And then that got my name circulating through. And this is what's interesting about this is like, this is what self-pub is, right? You've got to you're almost like hand selling books to influencers. You don't have a publicity department, you don't have a bookstore. And Jordan was my first step through the door. So I will forever be grateful to this man for the fact that anyone has read my book beyond my like immediate friends and family who had already read it. So that's it. So Jordan, anything you want to say? Jordan has a YouTube channel at Middle of Nowhere. Jordan, you're blogging. We'll tell people where you blog and stuff, and introduce yourself and say anything you want to say.
All right. Hello, everybody. Joe gave me a better introduction than I ever could, but yeah, I occasionally blog through Escapist Book Tours. That's kind of where I got my start in like heavy duty reviewing, I guess. And then I recently started my YouTube channel, Middle of Nowhere, where I ramble about books and see if anybody even pays any attention to what I'm doing. But it's mainly for me and my family, so we can laugh at what the shenanigans I do.
And people were begging you to have a channel. I remember for the longest time. I can't even remember when it started, but I'm sure I did see all of it.
Yeah, it started pretty much when I started reading your books pretty heavily, like that July, and every month afterwards, I'd probably get like 4 messages a month, like, "Hey, when's your channel starting?"
No one asked me when my channel was starting. I just I'm doing it. I don't care if people want it or not.
Yeah, no. And then thanks to Bo, like I was trying to come up with the name of my channel, and I was like, I don't know. And I was like, all right, I think I've settled on Middle of Nowhere. Like it fits me, like where I live, everything that way. Like,
so I know because I've sent you books. I know your address, but I don't know that part of the country very well because I'm a typical East Coast person where I know like the East Coast, and then I know like California, and the middle to me is a kind of a blur. But are you in a fairly rural area?
I am.
You've got some gorgeous stuff around you because you put pictures on Discord of like bridges and like scenery that is completely stunning. I'm super jealous, but it's
Yeah,
generally speaking, it's kind of feels like the middle of nowhere.
it really does. Yeah. So like where you come from, like New York has millions of people.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that you could fill my state could fit in the city and you wouldn't even see all of us.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
That's
um, I live in one of the bigger cities now, but I grew up in a town of 60.
right.
Um,
Wow.
and so my closest neighbor was like 2 miles away. And so, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's the opposite. I grew up in Brooklyn. I grew up in it. My neighborhood in Brooklyn had like 1 million. Brooklyn has 2 million people. That's not even. That's just the borough. So
Yeah.
all packed in a very small area. So very different. Now I'm moving to a more rural, but even still, not quite what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So we have Chris, we've got Eddie, and we've got Bo. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Any questions you have, I'll happily pass them on. Again, I'm new to this, have not done a stream like this before, so this is all like a little bit of an experiment. But I wanted to get Jordan on first because, like I said at the beginning, Jordan got me on at YouTube. So which is just it, it's an incredibly cool feeling that I can put like my book title in like the search
In
box,
places.
like stuff pops up. I'm like, it's so cool. Like, I don't even know if it was something I dreamt of when I was writing. I don't know if I really understood like what BookTube was at the time. And anyway,
Yeah. I know you just got a new one. Madison?
Madison gave me a lovely review on her April recap, and
Yep. She's
uh,
reading book 2. She loved it that much.
she's reading book 2. She's taking her to the beach with her. She's total sweetheart. Yeah, no, she gave me a great review on that. I've had a lot of people. I had oh crap, Usman. I forgot the name of Usman's channel. Bards and Books. Is that?
I think so.
He gave a dedicated review to the series. He read all 3 because he and I almost felt bad because I did a video on why I made Rohan like brown, like why he's half Indian as a white guy, and he's like, well, I never really meant it to be like, oh well, if you're South Asian or South Asian descent, you should buy my books. I'm not trying to market it. That was never my goal. I was just like, was something I did because I wanted to, not because I was trying to sell it to. But this one's like, oh, I should read it because it's got an Indian. And then he ended up liking it. So I was like, okay, I can live with this. He gave a very kind review to the trilogy. So yeah, it's been an experience. So it's been a lot of fun.
Good.
The books there, I totally left them there for no reason, and they're like right in the picture. That's perfect.
That's where they'll stay from now on.
I've done that on purpose. That's my other favorite thing is I watch booktubers and I see if I can find my books on their shelves behind their heads, because you have it, I can see them on your shelves, and then Andrew has them, and I think does Kayla? I can't remember. Anyway, it's not important. All right. This isn't about me. It's about you. I'm terrible. I'm
very good at deflecting the attention.
But the whole point is to talk. All right. So I wanted to ask you some questions because you are, I think, well, I'm going to talk about me again. What I think, influencers, and I don't. Some people use that term and they mean it like a little sarcastically. I don't. I think it's some influencers are doing like crappy stuff, but I think in the book world, by influencers, I just mean like booktubers, the bloggers, the people who review, even like what Esme Rosaline, when she was doing, like, now she's got on a blog, but even like a month or 2 ago, she was really just like putting reviews on Goodreads. She was putting reviews on Amazon, and she was like commenting on YouTube videos. She was really making a tremendous contribution to the community just with stuff like that. So I'm counting all of what you guys, all of that as influencers, but you're hugely important because without you, readers have no way to like separate the wheat from the chaff when it comes to books. And I say this, and I don't mean to be mean, but if you just randomly pick self-published stuff on Amazon and read it, you're going to have a pretty miserable time, right?
It's true.
A lot of it is bad, like really bad. I mean, that's what happens. But finding the good stuff and this isn't being done by the New York Times, right?
No.
That used to be the case, right? You used to get the Times book, Sunday Times, and you'd read, and that's how you knew which books were good. It doesn't work that way anymore. It's up to guys like you and gals. I don't mean guys. And the name of the show is Book Bros because books, siblings just doesn't rhyme. If I have a woman on this show, I'm still going to call it Book Bros. It's going to be an honorary bro for the day.
That works.
Sexist. I'm just announcing that this is how it's going to work. Okay. So let's start. Anyone have any questions? Put them in chat. I think I'm seeing all your comments. It seems to be working really good. Otherwise, I'm gonna. I threw up some questions. Okay, Jordan, when did you start reading for pleasure?
For pleasure, I started reading very young. I couldn't tell you exactly when. Like I mentioned, where I lived in a very rural area, I had one TV channel. Like that. That's all we got. It came in good. Like clear, and if it got stormy, even that one sometimes. But never really was a big issue. But I found that I enjoyed just being able to pick up a book at any time, and it allowed me to focus my mind. Like when I was going to bed and in the car or wherever I was going, I would always take a book with me and would just read. And so no matter where I go, even to this day, I always have a book with me somewhere.
So when you say you don't remember, you were a kid.
I was a kid. Yeah, I was pretty young.
In grade school. Okay.
Yep.
I got you. And were you reading? I know I'm jumping around. I know you read a lot of genre fiction, like science fiction and fantasy. I know that's not all you read. Was that true back then? Were you into the sci-fi and stuff, or were you just reading whatever was there? Or
a little bit of everything. So I became more of a sci-fi fantasy reader as I got older, as I found that's what I truly enjoyed. But I really read more mystery growing up. Like I loved mysteries. So the Boxcar Children, the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, Encyclopedia Brown, like couldn't get enough of it. And then I read all of Sherlock Holmes.
Nice.
And then Agatha Christie.
Oh, okay.
With Hercule Poirot, and then there were none. So
I think I had like 100 Hardy Boys books.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All I wanted when I was young was to have my own jalopy to fix up. I'm not sure I really knew what that meant. And I never actually learned how to work on cars. So I failed in my desire to be a Hardy Boy. But I thought that was the greatest thing you could do was to flip a jalopy. I don't know why. It resonated with me.
They did it in every book, I think.
Oh yeah. And Encyclopedia Brown. Encyclopedia Byrne was my nickname. Because obviously my name, and I would sit down and read the encyclopedia because pre-internet, sometimes if you were a reader, you could read anything you get your hands on. My parents bought me an encyclopedia. I just find a interesting, article and read it.
Yeah, no, those were cool.
Yeah, I was like, all right.
No, I remember my parents had the nice set, and you'd go grab the letter and see all the different things.
Is it World Book or Encyclopedia Britannica? Do you remember? Because those were the two big ones when I was I'm older than you.
Yeah, I think it was World Book.
Yeah, those were a little more accessible to me, to kids.
Yep.
Yeah, nice. Oh, we have a lot in common. That's fun.
Yeah, that's how I had to write all my papers. You couldn't just sign on the computer and find out all this information.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. So when you start reading, so you read sci-fi and fantasy, and I know you read some other stuff. Tell me, I know you read some thrillers, and what else are you reading now? Do you read any nonfiction on a regular basis, stuff like that?
I don't read a lot of nonfiction. I used to, but I just find that unless I'm really fascinated in the subject matter. So I have a lot of World War II books, and from my grandfather that I used to read religiously, and then after he passed away, that's kind of what soured my reading of nonfiction, just because it brings back those memories and things. And he used to make me write reports on all these nonfiction books and turn them into and he'd grade them. I'd get graded on how well I understood each battle in World War II.
Okay.
But so I don't read a lot of nonfiction anymore. If I get the urge to, like, I generally pick up something about basketball.
Yeah.
Doing that. So.
Yeah. I don't read much nonfiction, except every once in a while I'll pick up a martial arts book.
Yep.
And because that's my hobby, and some training stuff. But now, did you ever go through? And I didn't have this on my list of questions, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Did you ever go through a literary phase where you were trying to read like the books that are, the books that like the snooty
classics,
either the classics or the modern books that like the literary people think are, that win like the Pulitzer Prize, like the ones that are not turned, I don't know a better way to, you know what I'm talking about. The ones that, the fancy snooty reviews.
Yep. Nope, I do not. Never had the desire to. Mainly because I read a few of them and did not like them at all. Like I
totally fine.
Yeah, I remember reading like the first chapter of Jane Eyre.
Okay.
Or Wuthering Heights. It was Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no.
Like the classics in sci-fi, like Frankenstein, Dracula, stuff like that.
I've read those. I've read Dracula. I've read Frankenstein, The Three Musketeers, Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
So like, I enjoyed those, but it is not the same. Like, a lot of those stories have been pared down, like for the movie, like the new editions and things like that. You start reading those originals and you're like, wow, this is dense.
Yeah. So. When I was in college, I went through a phase where I thought I should be reading better books. And I mean those in scare quotes, your college professor would want you to read, And I went through a couple of years of that, a couple of years. And then at one point I realized I don't like these.
Yep.
Because I'm dumb. It took me like 2 years of reading like whatever was like, covered in the New York Times book review section, right, as being John Updike, stuff like that. And at one point I'm like, what am I doing to myself? And I stopped. I saw cold turkey. I never read another John Updike book. I'm just like, I don't want to read these anymore. And I'm like, where's my and I read like Edgar Rice Burroughs for 6 months, and I like cleansed myself.
There you go.
All the quality, just wiped it out with pulp and crap. So not crap, but
Yeah, but no, I know everybody knows I'm a reader. Like my neighbors know. Like I get boxes and stuff, and I'm like, you get a lot of deliveries, and it's like, yeah, they're books. But I have to explain that I don't read like the smart people books.
Look, there's a guy throwing on the cover. There are bears in this one.
Yep.
It's not highfalutin stuff. I got you. So we're going to skip around, but that's fine because you're already kind of talking about it. Do you prefer physical books?
I do.
By the fact that you're getting a bunch of deliveries.
Yep.
So do you have like a Kindle? Do you do the? You do. Okay. You like physical books. So how do you do the physical books? Like I know sometimes you get sent physical books, but like when you're not sent one by an author, what's your like? Do you is it like if it's an author you like, you'll get the next book in physical, or do you just get it based on the cover, you'll just buy it, or what's your general?
A little of both, a little bit of everything. So if there's one that I just see or that it's on a great deal, so like Patrick Samfire's, like I was just looking through his and he had like the free sale going on. And like for his ebooks. And so I was like, oh, I'll pick those up. And then I went to looking, like I always look at the hardcover price and they were like $6. And so I was like, so I just clicked purchase. Because like basically that's a free hardcover. Like I know it costs more to print the hardcovers than what I'm paying for it. And I don't know why it was that, but if you just go through, so I look through my wish list periodically just to see which ones have dropped in price.
Nice. Smart.
And then I'll purchase them that way. And then I usually have them in the e format and as well as physical. But I think just due to the nature of me growing up and only reading physical, like I know how to read physical books faster. And so I read physical books more consistently than I do on the e-reader.
So if you have both, you'll pick up the physical book.
I will.
Okay.
Yep, but when I go to work and stuff, I generally take my e-reader, so I'm not damaging the book in transit. And there's no
too, right? You go on vacation, you have an e-reader. I have 15 books to the beach. Not gonna.
Yeah, so,
you don't want to. Books.
Yeah, I still generally take one or two physical books with me when I go on vacation, just because that's who I am.
So you like hardcovers?
I do.
And do you get into like the special editions? Will you like search out like the leather-bound Kickstarter stuff, or is that not really something you've gotten into?
I'm not Bo.
Bo may have a problem.
Yeah, I agree.
It makes him happy. It's not a problem, I guess.
Yeah, but I will if it's a book I truly love, like that I know or see value in doing it. But I'm not just going to jump out and buy the special edition. Like I wish I could, but there's so many books out there that I want to read and purchase and do all that, and so I just can't afford to buy 20 copies of each book, unfortunately.
Right. Hey, Jordan, before we continue, can you see the comments?
I can.
Okay. So you're reading the comments too.
Uh-huh.
So Eddie told us that his mom would hide money in the pages of the encyclopedia, which I think is hilarious to make him read. Chris is saying that he went fantasy sci-fi to reading nonfiction ancient history in college. That was Zudu's field of study. Yeah, I was a philosophy major, so they kind of encourage you to read literature, which was adjacent to philosophy. And a lot of philosophers were writing literature as well. So I got the same thing. And I got and went back to fantasy and sci-fi shortly after school, as did I. Bo feels attacked. I'm sorry, Bo. I'm not.
It's okay. I'm not sorry, Bo.
A little bit of a problem. It's always well, you spend all this money on books, but like it's better than gambling and cocaine. I mean, people spend stupid money on all kinds of things.
But I do have to admit, you look at Bo's shelves; they're gorgeous because it's like all the special edition, like sprayed edges,
Yeah, he's got a great. I need that. I need in my new house, I want to get shelves behind me instead of my punching bag and my window. I want to get shelves with like my nice books and all my hardcovers out of storage.
There you go.
Sometime next year, I'll have a backdrop. I want I don't have it yet. Right, that's why I don't have books. I haven't had a house. But you got a shelf back there, at least one.
I do. Yeah. I can only fit one. I have one small one that's over to this side, but this room's kind of small. But then every room that I have in my house has a big window, which I've realized is not ideal. But it is what it is.
So are most of your books like in boxes, or are they?
I have 5 20-gallon totes full of books that don't fit on shelves that are in storage.
Me too.
And then my bedroom has 3 bookshelves, and then I have 2 up here. Nice. And then I always pile them on tables, which my wife loves.
Well, I haven't bought physical books in like 10 years because I've been since my first marriage ended. I haven't really had a place to put anything. So it's like that's why I got really into the Kindle. That's why I stopped buying comic books because comic books are really they'll suck up volume. You buy
yes, they will,
and then they just add up. And I've got those anyway. All right. Okay. So we've gone through.
I hope you get the Bone Chips one, Chris. You just got accepted to tier 2.
Wow, nice. I don't know what that means. Is that a subscription thing?
Yeah, they get a subscription every month. I think they get a special edition of a book.
I haven't gone into broken binding. Maybe next year once I've got shelves.
Yeah.
I still don't have very many books except my own. I've got my own because people were asking for stuff to sign and send. I'm like, I guess I need to buy some. So now I have. All right. So you've read a lot of science fiction and fantasy. And you've read some of the classics. And I was curious if there are people who kind of feel like like they're sci-fi and fantasy readers, but they feel like they're books they should have read. They're important, like seminal works or books that are talked about. Do you get that drive? Do you feel like I really need to have read Malazan, or I really need to have read Dune, or Robin Hobb, or any of that, or does that not really drive you? That sense of completeness or classic?
For me, it doesn't drive me. I'm kind of a rebel that way. I'm to the point that like I'll just grab the books that interest me, and like if I have no interest in reading that classic, like I kind of learned like as we talked about those older books, I'm just like, why do I need to force myself to read it just because everybody else loves it? Like,
have you read like Wheel of Time?
I have. I've read all of those.
So I assume you've read like Lord of the Rings and stuff.
Yeah, I made my way through Lord of the Rings. Not my favorite.
No, me neither. Me neither. Oh, I'm a huge Wheel of Time fan. I do like Malazan quite a bit.
I haven't read Malazan just because I hear of how confusing it gets and things like that, and I'm just like, I don't know that I want to invest that much brain power.
It's like a job. So at one point I read the whole series, and it like took me like a year. It was like all my reading for. I also don't have as much reading time as I used to for a variety of reasons. I would like to like retire and be able to like sit down and just read every day for 10 hours and like go through the whole thing in like a wheel. But it's just hard because you have these characters that don't appear for 3 books. And sometimes they do appear, but they have a different names. You're trying to figure out who they are because they're being called something else. And if you just read it like 2 weeks ago, I think it's easier. But if it's been like 3 months,
Yeah.
And I didn't use the wiki. I probably should have used the wiki.
Yeah. So I don't know. Malazan's one of those that I may get to it. Like it's on my list, but I have no grand desire. I've read a couple of Robin Hobb, but so I've read most of them when they came out. The one author that I've read that would probably surprise most people that I haven't is Joe Abercrombie.
Oh.
I have his books. I just haven't. I don't know.
I've read a few.
And then like The Great Coats is one that I'd heard about a lot by Sebastian de Castell.
Yep.
Did you
read Sebastian de Castell and review one, or am I confusing myself? What did you
I just read one of his.
Okay.
Yeah, last month in my video I talked about The Malevolent Seven.
Right. It's
coming out next week, actually. But I did that because I loved the Seven Samurai. I'm sure you've seen that story. Like it's just a classic. Like I love that original one, and then all the spin-offs of it. So like the anime Samurai 7. I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
Want the robots?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like fantastic.
I agree, 100%. That's an excellent anime.
Yes. Like I love that anime.
Yeah.
But it captures that same feel, but it like puts it in a new view and like new things. And so like and then I loved The Magnificent Seven, the Western, because I used to read a lot of Western books as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. I knew that.
Yep.
Cool.
Like I've read every Louis L'Amour book out there, but
that's saying something. That's not like 3 books, right? He had a big. He was prolific, if I remember correctly.
I have 2 of my 20-gallon totes are first edition paperbacks of his.
Oh! Are they first edition because you went out and looked for first editions, or did you just buy them when they came out, or was it?
My grandpa bought them when they came out. And like I started reading the Westerns, and he's like, "Here, you can have all these."
Cool.
And that's why I ended up reading them, because like living out, like my closest bookstore was 50 miles away. So I couldn't just go buy books. And then the library was a little ways away. And so in winter, I couldn't ride my bike there. My mom didn't want me riding my bike because it would be like a 5-hour trip, like to ride my bike there and back. And so it wasn't like she was just going to let me go. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever lived more than like 15 minutes from a library.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like when I was a kid, I could walk. I was in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
All right, let me get through some comments real quick. Joe, will get a comic version? Probably not. So I can't draw. If I could draw, if I could draw, honestly, I might be doing comics and not books. I don't know, maybe. But someone would have to offer it to me, and I don't think that's very likely, but I can hope. I think it'd be cool at the, better sign up now, waitlist for Broken Barn. Yeah, I know. I'm not doing anything now. I'm not moved into the new house. I'm kind of like, after moving so many times in the last 10 years and having to put everything I own in the back of a Honda Fit multiple times, I'm just like, I don't want to buy stuff. Those books is awesome. I've heard good things. I have not read those. And Bo, we should buddy read of The First Law. I remember liking Joe Abercrombie. I've not read all his stuff, but I've read a few, and I quite liked them when they came out. But this was like a while ago when he first got on the scene, and that gritty realism was impactful.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he was the only one to do it. I'm not saying he was the first, but it was different than what was typically happening at the time in the genre, and I liked it. Okay. So, all right. So the next question I had for you, I know a lot of reviewers and bloggers have particular tropes or things that they love or hate, love or hate, or maybe things that they don't care about, like doesn't bother them, that really drive other people crazy. So some people say they're very character driven. Some people say they like. I always think of Tori Tech. She always says, "I love found family." It's her big thing. She loves found. Are there things like that you have, like things that you really look for in particular? That do you I don't know if you think about that reading this way, but some people do, some people don't. But
yeah, I don't go searching for certain tropes a lot of the times unless there's something that's not catching me. So, like, honestly, at the beginning of this month, like, there were certain books I was supposed to be reading and just nothing was clicking. Like, just wasn't enjoying any of them. And so I've learned, like, to kind of set them to the side and come back to them, like, shortly. So I started 6 books and then finally found one. And, like, the one trope that usually gets me back into it is some form of, like, the reluctant hero. Hence why I loved Wistful.
I heard you say that, and I was like, yeah, I got that
one.
Yep.
But yeah, like, that always seems to pull me in.
Yeah.
Similar to, I think, like, you can kind of see even the things we talked about, like the 7 Samurai and the Samurai 7, like, those are, it's generally, like, it just pulls me in for whatever reason. I don't know why. So that usually snaps me back into my reading thing, but it's not like I go searching it out. I just kind of stumble along them. The one thing that I don't really like, and it's surprising because Malevolent 7 does this, is kind of like the older person relating their story and speaking directly to the reader type thing. That's what kind of, I don't really click with it. I generally, because it, like, disconnects me from the story, because it's like, well, all those times that you're in peril mean nothing.
We know you survived, right? Unless you're a ghost writer.
Yep.
Telling this. Did you? I'm trying to think. Like, did you read Name of the Wind?
I did.
Because isn't that did it bug you there? I'm just curious.
Not as much, because it's kind of a different style. It's telling more how the legends have become about him, but there's a current, like, peril kind of going on. But, like, The Name of the Wind is good. It's not my favorite, just because of other reasons, and I really didn't care for book 2. But similar.
I have to reread it.
Yeah, the Sex Fairy. Yeah, I got tired of that. But the first binding by R.R. Virdi, very, very similar. Like, he actually talked with Rothfuss because he's a huge fan of The Name of the Wind and stuff like that, and so Rothfuss, like, gave him the go ahead, like, yeah, use that style and do that. So it's told in the same style, but it has a lot more going on in the present sense than what I felt in The Name of the Wind, and, like, drew me in. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
like, lots of little stories. and kind of builds up going to into that. So that one didn't bother me nearly as much because it's more like, well, this is how I got to where I am now. And so you feel like you're still in the middle of the story and they're just trying to catch you up to the story.
Now, do you ever get into any of like the paranormal romance or the fantasy romance stuff, or is that not your thing?
No, not really the romance. It like I can read it. I've read it, but it's not. It's okay. Yeah.
I read a bunch because like in the early 2000s, like there was urban fantasy was like newish. Like Harry Dresden and like Laurel Hamilton with the Anita Blake books. They were urban fantasy at first, and then they kind of slid into paranormal romance, but it didn't happen right away. It took like 3 or 4 books. And by then, I was like, I need to know what happens to these characters. It took time before I was finally like, I can't keep reading these. Like they're fine, but it's not. I don't have the time. So
yeah.
All right, let's go through a couple comments. Mike, if you like Louis L'Amour, check out Hail of Brimstone by L'Amour stuff with werewolves and demons. Okay.
I will definitely do that.
Okay.
Mike Malman's books are fantastic as well. Just a quick shout out.
Well, shout out to Mike. Very good. See, Mike, free advertising. You can sponsor my channel. No, I'm kidding. First binding, Eddie. The first binding is Fire from Bo. Book 2 this October. I did not know that. I know he's working on something else. Like an urban fantasy or something. I forget. He's working on something else because I see him on Twitter a lot. I don't know why. The Twitter algorithm has decided that I need to read all of his tweets, which is fine. Is that an advanced copy or is that out?
No, I bought this one.
Oh, is that his older self-pub stuff?
Yep. So this is his self-pub stuff. That's his urban fantasy that he's still kind of working on. The first binding has become his big thing that he's working on now. Wow. But I enjoyed his writing, that style, and I don't know.
Good.
It's one of those that I picked up on a good deal, and it's like, might as well. I haven't read it yet, but
okay. Well, let us know what you thought when you get to it on your recap or do a review or something, because we'll watch them. Okay, cool. I got some questions. Do you ever DNF books?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything wrong with saying a book isn't for you personally. That being said, it doesn't mean that it's a horrible book, because I'm always of the feeling like no matter how terrible a book is, it will find its reader that will love it at some point. I'm not saying that it's well written, but like somebody will love that story. So like I've maintained that, like, just because I know how much work you as authors put into every story, and like it's not like you just sat down and like it just spilled out onto the computer and then the next day you handed it off. Like it just doesn't work that way. And so like I know like even when I don't care for the novel, there might be somebody out there, but I will DNF a book, especially if there's something that hits me wrong or I'm just not caring for it. Like if I'm not excited to read the book, like why am I going to keep forcing myself to read it?
Yeah.
So but I can definitely tell when I need to fully DNF, because like earlier this month it was more just like nothing's clicking with me. It's more, and I could tell it was more in my head that I just needed to find something that hit correctly, rather than forcing myself to read those books. Because if I force myself to, and this is where it gets tricky being a reviewer, because like you have to let your mood dictate some of those things. Because if you just force yourself to read, your reviews are going to get negative really quick and go that route. And so I found like even reading the review copies, it's like, you know what, I want to read them faster. You guys have provided me free copies and I am incredibly grateful for it. And I don't want you to think that I'm just grabbing them because I love free books. Like I honestly love helping you guys out. Like I enjoy it. Like it's fun. And I love recommending books and seeing people find as much excitement about it. So like seeing everybody read Wistful and like how excited and how much they love it, it's like, yes, I told you. It's really cool to see. But at the same time, like, it took me 3 months to read your book as well. Like, I just had to be in the right frame of mind and at the right time and go that route. Otherwise, you'll just get like, yeah, I read your book, it was okay.
I would much rather someone like take a year and mood read it when they want to than force themselves to read it the month they get it and then not like it. Like, who does that help? Like, that's not good. That's not good for anyone.
Yeah.
When you DNF, what do you do about a review? Do you just not review a book you DNF? Will you write something without a rating? Will you rate it? Do you have a policy? I'm just curious.
I generally don't leave a rating or review unless I've promised one, just because I feel like it's not fair. Because like I'm only judging it off of the percentage that I read, and so it's not fair for a reader saying, "Oh, I shouldn't read this book because he didn't like this percentage of it," even though they might get through to the end and be like, "Oh, I really enjoyed that," and it's like, okay, it just. So to me, I feel like it's cheating the author and the readers if I do give a review on something that I DNF'd. And a lot of times I'll mention it to the author if I accepted a review copy and I DNF'd their books, but I won't put it out there that I didn't finish.
That's got to be odd. Do people send you review copies without asking? I never noticed if you have like a PO box somewhere on your YouTube channel, or is it always a communication first? Some people do that. People have like a PO box on there.
Yeah, I don't have a PO box at the moment, mainly because I don't like going out of my way to go to the post office because it's not.
Do people ever offer you a review copy and you say no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So something doesn't sound like it's your thing and you just say no, thank you, try someone else?
Yep.
I'm just curious because I've only tried to offer you 3 books.
Yeah.
And you happen to take them, so well, I was pretty confident you would be willing to at least read at some point.
Yep.
The sequel after the first one came out.
Yeah. Well, you saw my review of the first one, so you knew it was a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, it was a safe bet. Do you do beta reads for authors?
I've done one beta read. Wasn't my favorite thing to do. Like I can do it, but I have to go in with a different mindset. So I'm not reading for enjoyment more. And so it kind of spoils that reading for me. So it's either like, would you like me to review it or do you want me to beta it? Because if I beta read it, I don't leave a review because I feel like I have to be a lot different mindset, and it's not going to be the same story.
Stunningly good, unless it's stunningly good as the rough draft, which is unusual.
Yep.
You can't, because you don't know how much is going to be fixed, and you don't have to do the same book twice in 2 months. That's not fair. I think I've been asking people to beta read stuff, and I feel bad because it's hard. Like if you enjoy the books and you get a beta copy, you're just going to enjoy it a little bit less because it's not as good. If it's as good as the one that gets released, the author sucks, right?
Yeah.
Fix anything. Like it's going to be worse. So it's like if you're a fan, anyway, that's my thought. So no one cares.
That's right. It's okay, guys.
No, we are a kid-friendly podcast. Oh, yeah.
Look at that! She made it onto camera.
Hi.
So,
DNF Way of Kings twice.
Oh, that hurts me, Chris. That hurts me.
Oh, here's a good comment.
See? Now you have to read his Druid series.
I will.
Joe?
I have so little time to read. It's pathetic. Especially right now. I'm getting no reading done.
Yeah, they're fantastic audiobooks, by the way.
I don't do audiobooks. One of these days I got to get started on audiobooks, but I've never gotten in the habit. But thank you very much, Mike. I just wrote 92,000 words on book 4. So I am chomp. I'm doing like 4,000 words a day, which is killing me. So hard. Miserable. I got to get it to my editor.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it though. That's all I have to
Thank
say.
you. It's very, it's like a weight of expectations is weighing on me because a
I,
lot of people really like Blood Reunion, and I'm like, okay, I gotta try to match that, but I can't write the same book, so it's tough.
yeah,
DNA,
no,
January, February, okay, yep, that's okay. You got to DNF stuff. There's so much out there. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't you DNF? But like, if you pick up a book and it's not for you, stop.
yeah.
Give the book a chance. Like a DNF isn't just giving a chance.
Sorry,
It's totally fine. Yes.
I
Yay! Cards and books.
I have children.
Sweet. Yes. I say this because I talked to Andrew on his channel, and he had his kids um
Like running around.
like running around.
Yep.
I don't want to. They were getting into the stream. Let's just say I don't want to say it. And I was just like, yeah, there's a reason that I started writing when my kids were grown.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't writing books when my son was like 5. It all started when my son was like 12 and really didn't need. They get older. My youngest, it's different. They don't need the same kind of.
Well, like I have a hardwood floor, like in my office, and my door's kind of squeaky, and so like I close it, like saying, "Hey, I'm going to be doing stuff," and of course that just means open it and bang everything in sight.
That's fine. That's fine.
But you know how that is. It's 27 books.
20. I've been saying 25. As kind of yeah, Usman, how you doing? We were just talking about you, Usman. We were talking about your review of the series. The first person to give me a series review of the first 3. The 25 is kind of a joke. I don't really know if it's going to be 25, but it's a big story. So it's not going to be done in 7 because I know what I want to do with the story, and it's going to take a lot of books.
It's 27. The plan 25 and the bonus one for Bo and me.
Yeah. And then, but my fantasy novel, which should be coming out this summer, is a standalone. It's a possible I'll write a sequel one day, but I don't really feel like it needs it. And that
I feel like more people should write standalone novels. Like it's one of my things is like, it's okay to write one story.
From a financial perspective, it's hard.
Yes.
Imagine you're an author. So imagine you're someone like me. If I have a series, if I can sell an ad on Amazon and get someone to read Wistful on like Kindle Unlimited, and then they read the next 2, now I'm making like $8 off one ad.
Yep.
If I have a bunch of standalones, the read through is much less. So
No.
From a financial perspective, it's just
No, I think the way you're doing it, like maybe just one standalone while you're writing your big series, because then like you're already established. Like,
yeah. I'm writing the standalone, hoping people read it and go, oh, maybe I will give Wistful a chance. Like that's my goal. And I needed to write a fantasy novel because I got aggravated at people saying like, oh, I don't want to read superhero stuff. I don't like sci-fi. I'm like, fine, damn it, I want to write a fantasy novel just out of spite. So I can enter Spiffbo again and lose in the first round one more time.
Hey, it got my attention.
Thank you. Yeah. But everyone's saying hello to everyone else. I'm starting Wistful this month. You do have to catch up.
Yes, Chris.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy it. And Colton, finished Blood Reunion 3 days.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, Blood Reunion was the first book where I kind of knew what I was doing when I started it. I told you that story. I wrote Wistful Ascending. I had never taken like a writing course or like read a book on writing or anything. I had zero training. Just like, I know how to write. I read plenty of books I can write.
Yeah.
That's not true. It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't.
Then I like studied the craft and I like rewrote it. I rewrote Return. And then, but when I started the next one, okay, I'm going through my questions again. Oh, Bo, you're too sweet. Whatever you write, Joe. Yeah, you haven't finished Partial Function, so I don't know. That's fine. You don't have to. Yeah. So do you do audio? Do you prefer audio? Is it just that audio fills a different slot in your life? Like when you're driving or at work, you'll do audio, and other times you'll read or read physical, or what's the?
Yep. So I'll do audio when I'm driving. Um,
Mhm.
so like going to and from work,
Mhm.
and then like when I pick up my two kids and stuff, like it's a 40-minute drive, like
Yeah.
like that I do over a weekend. So like earlier today, it's like all right. So I listen to the audiobook while I'm driving and going that way, and then also like when I'm doing yard work, housework, that type of thing.
Right.
Um, I alternate. Sometimes it's music, sometimes it's audiobooks. But my preferred method of reading is a physical book.
Okay. So I have a question. So will you do like a book on audio, and then every time you're like driving, you listen to that book, or will you swap? Like, will you then come home and pick up the same book in physical? I don't know why I'm asking this. I'm just curious.
No, I generally read 3 different books at a time.
Ah, okay.
I have 3 going
Physical,
pretty
Kindle,
much.
audio.
Yep.
Yep.
um, at least 2. Like, but usually my ebook and my audio will sync, so I'll do that sometimes. But
Okay.
so if I get into like a really intense part, I'll either keep listening or find the ebook or physical book, whatever I have, and keep doing. So,
Mike, I'm a planner. I know what I'm doing. It doesn't always work. There's always a plan. I think I know what I'm doing. Jordan, I had a question. Do you find yourself rereading books, or do
I
you?
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a pattern to it? Like, is it when the next book comes out, you'll reread, like, or not? Or I'm curious.
Sometimes, like depending on my memory of the series,
Mm.
I'll reread it. So like Stormlight Archive, where there's so much going on, and then it's like three years between each release. Like that's a long. Like I've read hundreds of books in between when I finished the last one and the next one coming out, and so I'll often read if it's that big of a gap. But like with yours, like I haven't. It hasn't even been a year since I've read Wistful. So like I remember it extremely well going that way. And then sometimes I just get an itch like for a common favorite. So I'll put on the audio or something of like when I know I have something to do that I'm not going to focus on 100% of the book. So when I'm doing more fine details or something like that, like
yeah. You don't miss anything because you remember the story, but it's still a comfort. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so usually I do my rereads in the audio format for that reason, because like I don't have to pay 100% close attention to it. But I hear the story and I like just hearing part of it. It's like, oh, I know where I am. Like just triggers that memory and things like that. It's also cool to see how much you pick up on in different formats. So like Red Rising, I read last month, but I didn't know if I wanted to continue in audio or physical. And so I read the physical first, and then I was like, I hear how amazing the audio is. So I'm not going to jump into book 2 on the audio. I want to hear book 1's audio. And so I just turned around and did the audio of it because I knew I didn't have to pay.
You just read it. Right.
I just read it. So it was more just getting the feel of the audio narration going forward that way. So sometimes my rereads happen really quick because it's more of a judgment call on, is it good? Because if I can listen to a more boring narrator on a book I've already read.
Yeah.
But I have to have a better narrator for a book I haven't read in order to keep me engrossed in it, if that makes sense. It's kind of different that way. But
I'm going to do a recap videos for my books in the next few weeks. I finally, I don't want to put like this is everything that happened in book 1. Like this is not a review, right? It's a recap. Because instead of having it, it's like a big chunk in the beginning of the next book. But I'm like, people are going to get lost at some point. I figure put it on YouTube and they can watch it whenever. That's my new brilliant idea. So people don't have to reread the whole book. What's your least favorite thing about being a reviewer? Ooh. Getting sent all those free books must be rough.
Sometimes it is because like I I put a lot of stress on myself and a lot of pressure. Like, really, there's no written commitment for me to have to read the book. Like, let's be honest. There's really not. But I take it personally, like when I agree to read a book, like I basically put a contract in my mind that I have to read that book. And so sometimes that stress, like everyday life, gets in the way, and I can't read it in the time frame that I had originally planned. And so that's probably my least favorite part of being a reviewer, is that everybody wants you to review their book and having to tell people no. Like, I'd love to be able to say yes to everybody. And then like explaining like, hey, I am going to read your book. Life just got in the way. I hate saying that because like I try to structure it out really well, but it doesn't always work out.
Yeah. Sorry.
But my favorite thing is just being able to read it and recommend it to everybody else, and then seeing the excitement and how much they enjoy the book, and seeing it just kind of cascade that way, and then having all these great conversations like we're having now, just about the books and things like that, like on the Discord. Like, I love being able to go in there and seeing the book I've read and being like, oh, I loved it. And then just being able to go off that conversation, and just seeing the joy for a book is probably my favorite thing. Like, I know how much I enjoy it. But to be honest, like, I do the reviews because I know how much it helps everybody else, and for some reason people seem to like what I say about when I review a book. But really, I read the books for me. Like, like that's how it is. So like,
right? You and it helps other people. It's like frosting on the cake, right? You know.
So like, that's kind of how I became a reviewer. Is like, I'm already reading the books. It takes me 20 minutes to type up a review, because I also write reviews or do video reviews. I'm still kind of learning, but when I wrote reviews, I wrote them how I read my reviews. Like, if you write more than 4 paragraphs, I'm probably not going to read the review. It's like, at that point, I'm just going to read the book. Like, I don't need the breakdown of every little thing in the book. Tell me what's good, what didn't work for you, and go from there. And so that's kind of what I do. I try to give the highlight, what was the highlight of the book to me, and then what wasn't what I felt kind of threw me off in the reading. Doesn't mean it's bad. And everybody's like, oh, that means it's bad. And it's like, no, it's just the one thing that wasn't my favorite in that book, I guess. It doesn't mean that it was bad, but I don't know.
There's no such thing as the book that works for everyone, or every element works the same for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, trust me, as a writer, I've seen it. Like, I've seen people say this things in the book that they just couldn't stand, made them put the book down, and someone else said it was their favorite thing.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, you know, you can't possibly make these two people, I could not have made them both happy. Right?
No, it's impossible.
So it's like, all right, so I'm just going to write what I want, and, you know, hope it resonates with, you know, a certain percentage of people, so I can keep selling books, so I can hopefully pay for these things.
There you go.
And audio is great. Yes. I have not done Red Rising yet. Look up to Jordan Bow and Chad. Yep, Jordan Bow are on this. Chad does a great job. Chad, the hiking reader,
Nice.
does some good stuff. Can't be bothered to sit through a 5-page review. I will read a 5-page review of my own books. I will definitely. I think I've read every review I've ever found of my own books, which is not yeah. So I was watching. Jordan. I think I mentioned this before. You know, my college roommate is a Hugo Award winner.
Yeah.
Say this, okay? Because it's like a really cute, funny. It's not meaningful, but it's a funny story. Because we never like talked about writing. Like, he wasn't writing. Yeah. Like that. He was an electrical engineer. He was like writing circuits. Like, no, I'm not even kidding. Great guy, but we never talked about science fiction or writing. Anyway, Hugo Award-winning author John Chu. And I was watching a Literature Science Alliance. She's a booktuber who I quite like. And she was like, new story by John. She was like waxing about his story, right? And I'm like,
yeah.
What if John knows about this? So I message him. I'm like, dude, there's this booktuber like loves your stories so much. And he's like, that's really nice. Don't send me the link. And And nothing against her, he's just like, he doesn't want to see the review. He's like,
Yeah.
Dude, you're so much smarter than I am, which I
Yeah.
do acknowledge, but like he just doesn't want to see it. Like it's nice. He's glad that someone likes his stories, but he doesn't want to see the review. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll watch them for him, but it's not healthy. All right, I'm with Jordan. Can't be bothered. Okay, so last question I have for you is: I know you're a big basketball fan. Are there any other sports you follow?
Almost. Yeah, I follow a lot. Basketball is my big one, but I also follow soccer, especially World Cup.
Okay.
And then I watch football, college football.
Okay.
I'll watch baseball. I enjoy most sports,
Sweet.
but basketball is my passion.
I knew that. All right, very cool. Yeah, sumo. The next tournament starts tomorrow. I don't think anyone cares but me. I mean, there are other sumo fans in the world, but I don't know any of them, like personally. I'm a huge fan. Anyway, not important. All right, those were my questions. Let's see. Before I was a content creator, my review, great book, end of review. Yeah,
It still counts.
Yeah, yeah. And Jordan, who's your team? Uh-oh.
I am a Boston Celtics diehard.
Okay.
Yep.
When I was a kid, was the Larry Bird.
Larry Bird.
Yep. Kevin McHale and Danny Ainge.
Yep.
I was a casual NBA fan when the big Celtics Lakers. When they were against the Magic Johnson Kareem Lakers.
Yep.
Casual NBA fan through those eras. So.
Yeah.
You love Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
After they beat, yeah. He's gone now, though. Well, he lost last night.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't really follow the ball sports. I lost my TV for 5 years, and then I kind of lost track of sport. I didn't have a television. So I lost track of F1. Now F1 is popular. I was a fan of F1 before anyone in the States cared about F1. But now everyone else is like onto it. I'm like, I haven't watched it in like 10 years.
So I'm glad we can still be friends, Mike.
We're all relieved. Everyone's going to be relieved. All right.
So.
Well, I promised you to get you out of here in an hour so you can go see your wife. And spend the whole evening here. Jordan, can't thank you enough.
Thank you, Joe.
Such a pleasure having you on. Our first ever episode of Book Bros. And got some of your input into your feelings about books, which is super exciting to me for reasons I explained at the beginning of the video. And thank you to everyone here who joined us in the chat and watched. Jordan, do you want to say where they can find you and your stuff? One more time.
Absolutely. So I have my YouTube channel, Middle of Nowhere. Love seeing all your comments in there as well. And then can find me on several Discord channels, but most notably the Keymark Discord is where you can find me most of the time.
And India Chords.
And India Chords, yep.
Yes, where I'm in both of those places all too much of the time. Well, thank you again, Jordan. I'm JC Byrne, and
go read Wistful.
Go read Wistful. And watch my channel too. I have videos.
Yep. So
more of these Book Bros. I don't know how often. Eventually, I'll do another one. I'm sure with somebody else.
We'll get Bo.
We'll get Bo on. I don't think I've seen Bo interviewed before, but we'll see. I'm not trying to put Bo on the spot on live YouTube video, but I just did. I'm sorry. All right. Well, thank you again, and take care, everyone. And we are signing off. This is Book Bros.
See you guys.
See you guys.